Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's here.
It's a brand new day, never hold on to hate, cause you was placed here to be great. Please take your place. All queens got a seat at my table, cause without y'all, then the man ain't able. Melanated queen, connected to the universe, and so I gotta thank my mom for my birth. If hate is the curse, then love is the remedy. So I send you love no matter creed or identity. Until infinity, look at you like you kin to me. Even when we disagree, yo, you still kin to me. In other words, I can't bring you no trouble, can't bring you no beef, don't wanna see you deceased. Now if I'm coming at you, I'm coming with a business plan, cause every day I'm on some, yo, let's get this money, man. Yeah, and that's my real plans. I rest my head at night, I wake up, I got another plan.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's here again.
It's a lot of high rappers tell me why we don't get money together, but we'll kill each other over whatever. Running down the freeway, we gonna own down. If Black Lives Matter, why we gonna own down? That's why they laugh and they think that we clowns. They hear what we say, but see how we get down. We gotta change that now, right now to be exact, cause hurting that man's moms is not where it's at now. Old school, new school need to learn, yo. They put us in groups so they can make more dough. The young versus the old versus the young, black versus white, you see the pattern, right? No unity, keep them all on some gutter-ish. This way they don't prosper and get rich. Yo, can't you see it's a trick? Just open your third eye and you'll see the full view of it. Now yo, what if the powers that be know that the real power lies within the people? That's us. And what if they using things like crayon colors, black and white, to separate the people? Hey, yo, you gotta wake up. Don't let them fool y'all. Spread love.
Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's. Good morning, it's another day, my friend. But soon the sunshine turns to moonlight, life goes You take some time to say goodnight, you close your eyes to dream next thing tomorrow's here again. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
All right, y'all know what to do. Good morning to everybody who's in here. Welcome back, y'all. You know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Uh-oh, hold on. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. We should be good up in here. Oh yeah, I see some ones coming in. Let me see who we got. Let's see how we're looking up in here as well. Ooh, there we go. We're looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats of ClassEbeats.com. And today we are going to recap some of the things that went on yesterday. Crazy ending to Young Thug's run in the Fulton County court system. Well, at least for now. We're going to get into it a little bit. I've got his full disposition from yesterday, so we're going to go through and break that down, see some of the special conditions that were covered by Judge Whitaker briefly, and we're actually going to see item by item, line by line, what the Young Thug is looking at when he's going to serve this 15-year probation, which is crazy. I know a lot of us are still in shock about what went down yesterday, but as you know, the trial is not over. We still have 2 defendants that are left. We've got Yak Gotti, we've got SB, aka Shannon Jackson, aka Shannon Stillwell, and they're still out there fighting for their lives because we got a murder charge that somebody's gonna have to deal with. And I have no idea what the jury's thinking about that. But before we get into it, I gotta say good morning to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Let me see who we got. Of course, the amazing, awesome Amy is here in the building. Always here, showing love and support. I appreciate you, Amy. Thank you for everything you do. Mark is in the building. Michi's in here. Rice Street's in here, bright and early, ready to go. Like number 17. Thank you, Rice Street, for liking the video. Ashley's in here. Debbie, Anita, Drama Llama's in the building. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is up in here as well. Says, literally took half a day away from social media yesterday and look what happened. Happy for Thug, but never thought this would happen. Happy Friday, everyone. I know me and Kel Bell were on the same page. We said, there's no way he's taking a plea deal. Well, we were wrong. Big wrong. Turquoise Tigers in here. JB is in the building. Good to see you as always. Andrea up in here as well. Jay Buckmaster in the building. Excuse me. Satin's up in here. Good to see you, Satin. Who else do we have? I saw Goner Dang was putting some work in over on X. Appreciate you showing support over there. Major League D is in the building too. Good to see you. We've got Chi-Town is up in here. 904 Cowboy Canes. Good morning. Javier LaFleur, the Honorable Attorney Javier M. Bailey is in the building. Good to see you, man. We've got Fran Drew. Shout out to you. Good morning. That's a crazy name. A Fitz is up in here. We've got Nicholas in the building. The world's end. Nicholas is upset. Says, I'm still angry. Nuts family were paraded and invited to the sentencing without the prosecution making sure they could give a victim impact statement. That was cruel. We're going to get into that and talk about it in a minute. About Donovan Thomas's family and just this whole RICO trial in general. It's literally falling apart in the state, and Fannie Willis should be embarrassed, but we'll get into it here in a minute. We've got Monica in here. Cookie Cooks is in the building. Shout out to you. And I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Since we're not rushing to get to court, we've got Charlie is in the building. Cindy White's in here. We ain't got no quit. I like that username. Shout out to you. Kimberly Lindsay is in the building. I think I said what's up to Debbie Ellis, but good to see you. Floyd the Real Deal Neil is in here. And okay, Demetrius is in the building as well. Shout out to Sweet Love up in here. Stacy is in the building. Karen's in here too. What does Mark H say? Mark H says, Classy Beats, if you call the chat gang, then Love will be quoting us all out of context. I won't plea, so we will be back here for years again. Yeah, we ain't going nowhere, man. Don't worry about it. I know Rice Street is trying to put an indictment together and failing miserably, but we're not worried at all. And thank you for Amy for reminding me to tell y'all, if you could please, the number one way you can support this show is by liking the video. So if you could take 2 seconds, drop a like. Not only does it help the show continue to grow, but it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you're enjoying the show and it shares it with more people. So if you could take 2 seconds, like the video, it really does help us out. And thank you to everyone who's done that so far as well. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I want to start the show by getting into some of the reactions from everyone who's involved in this trial, whether directly or indirectly. Y'all know X has been a great place to find news when it comes to what was going on in this YSL trial. And you've got everybody going absolutely crazy yesterday once Young Thug was released. So I want to get into a couple of these reactions. First, and most notably, you had Maria the Scientist, who's probably one of, if not the most happy person other than Young Thug that he's out. This is Young Thug's girlfriend, has been in the courtroom multiple and several days, which is, it's crazy to see how loyal that she's been. They even leaked a phone call of them while he was in prison. I mean, absolutely amazing. We're going to get into it here in a second, but I almost forgot the super chats. First off, shout out to Mika's in the building with the Red Cup Talks podcast with Mika. Y'all go show her some love. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. She's doing amazing work over there. A true professional. And you can find her on After Hours as well with Anton Daniels. Make sure you check her out. I want to say Tuesdays and Thursdays. And sometimes Saturdays. I can't remember if it's every Saturday, Mika. You'll have to let me know. But y'all go show her some love. And if you could, if Amy or one of the other mods could drop a link to her channel in the chat, I would appreciate it. She says, stay blessed. And same to you, Mika. Thank you as well. Also, over on the Cash App, I need to make sure I give credit. My goodness. Shout out. And I don't want to say, oh, I know who this is. Shout out to the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell. Just dropped a 100 bomb over on the Cash App. Showing some love early this morning. What does Kel Bell say? Absolutely love your show. Thank you, Kel Bell. Appreciate this support and thank you for the Cash App. And thank you for keeping the lights on over here on the Music Morning Show. Crazy. Shout out to the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell. Has been here with us throughout the entire coverage of this trial and has been giving some great insight from a lawyer's perspective. And that's much needed here too. So shout out to Kel Bell, and y'all make sure you go check out Mika's podcast as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. I want to check out this video from Maria, the scientist. She had she had a show last night on Halloween, and here's what she had to say about everything that happened with Young Thug. Out here grinding.
Fight and love. I want to thank you for our family and our friends. I want to thank you for Jeff and our relationship. I want to thank you for covering us with the blood of Jesus, protecting us, keeping us safe every day. This has really been a long time coming, and it has been really hard. But I'm appreciative that you kept showing up for me and supporting me. There was people who was telling me I would never see him again. There was people who was laughing at me and laughing at the situation, making fun of us.
All right.
Man, this shit's so fucking crazy, man. This supposed to be a prayer. Hold on. Thank you, God. And amen. Now back to you. All you motherfuckers who doubted me and doubted this shit and said this nigga was never coming back, fuck all y'all.
Dang.
What you gonna say now, bitch? Now when I say thug, we gotta switch it up. When I say thug,
Shout out to Maria, the scientist. She was saying a prayer. She said, hold on, let me finish my prayer. And then she was cussing everybody out. There were a lot of people who doubted, the situation. And I think it's mainly from those who weren't watching this trial and following it as closely as we were here. It's interesting to see some of the reactions. I know DJ Academics was one of the biggest doubters in this. He said Thug is never coming home. Proved him wrong for sure. Now, a lot of us in here thought it was going to be as a result of a not guilty verdict versus Thug pleading, or I guess it was a non-negotiated plea, as we could say, but we did not see that coming at all. But shout out to Maria. She has been, Mariah, I need to put some respect on her name. Super loyal, standing by Young Thug, and now he's home. I'm sure they had a great time last night. Well deserved, man. Enjoy the victory lap. And of course, as y'all know, there are two defendants, as we mentioned, who are still currently in trial. We've got Shannon Stillwell, who is represented by Max Sharp. And then, of course, we've got Yak Gotti, who is going to be represented by Doug Weinstein. And they both had some things to say there, which we're going to get to here in a second. But of course, you had Dora, who works in management for YSL and is also Young Thug's sister. Of course, she said, thank you, Father God. Thank you. She was going off on X yesterday. Y'all, I recommend you go over there and see some of the threads where she's going back and forth, talking about some of the people who were doubting, who didn't think Thug was going to come home, and they were absolutely wrong. And then we've got Max Sharp in here. He's like, hey, y'all don't forget us now. We're still fighting the battle over here. But he did take time to congratulate Young Thug and Brian Steele and the work that he and Keith Adams and the rest of their team did too. He said, this is my last post of the night. Time for bed. Back to work tomorrow. I'm going to tell you, because he won't, that I have never seen any lawyer work as hard for his client and justice than Brian, the real deal, man of steel. He wanted to fight, but respected Jeffrey's desire to go home, which is a tough thing. I mean, we talked about this yesterday and over the coming days, how if they could just wait a few more months, we feel like the jury would have given him a not guilty verdict, and Thug wouldn't have to worry about even having a felony, which he does now. But at the same point, it seems like he took a gamble. He saw how Judge Whitaker was running this trial. He saw that the time was right, and he took a big risk putting his life and his sentence in the hand of Judge Whitaker, and it worked out for him. So shout out to Young Thug. I know Brian Steele definitely wanted to get that not guilty, which I think he would have, but Max Shark continues to say, and do not get it twisted. Mr. Keith Adams, especially the Honorable Keith Adams, was the perfect partner for Steele, but he takes the back seat to no one. I love them both as friends, and we will miss seeing them every day. Well, I doubt they're going to miss being in court every day, but they'll probably miss seeing you. And then, of course, a lot of people are showing support for Shannon Stillwell. As many of y'all know, I mean, when it comes to this trial.
So what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
I mean, the state is just running in circles, and Keith Adams said it best. There's really no evidence in so many of these instances. And I think even for Yak Gotti and Shannon Stillwell, there is still a lot that the state has to prove when it comes to implicating them for the murder of Donovan Thomas, because a lot of us think, and rightly so from the evidence that we've seen, that they may have given immunity to the killer. I'm not going to say any names, but y'all know who it is, and you can type it in the chat, because I think the state messed up, but we'll look forward and see. And shout out to everybody who is showing support to Max and saying, hey, we've got your back. We're not going to forget about you. We're still here. We also had Doug Weinstein, and shout out to Doug Weinstein actually responding to a tweet from Mel, who is I'm Not a Lawyer But over on YouTube. Y'all should go check her out as well. He says, please stay with us, you and everyone else. We're not going anywhere, Doug. And even on this channel, we're going to keep covering this trial until the end. Now that I think it's just Shannon and Yak Gotti, things should move a little bit smoother, but it's still going to be an uphill battle for both of these guys too. Doug Weinstein also said, here is the kind of man Brian Steele is. When the state tried to use this, I got all excited to let Brian know that it was all BS, as you say. Brian was super appreciative and thanked me. But of course, Brian knew this the whole time, and likely long before me. But he never said anything to me. He just thanked me. And what is he referring to? Well, he's talking about this. And it says, now that Thug is free, I want to point out one of the most egregious reaches by the state in this case was the artwork for Super Slimy was to promote ongoing gang beef. What? Lame. He says, 404 Low says, Ninja, it's a snake and a bird for YSL and FBG music labels. Freaking dorks. And there were so many instances throughout this trial that we saw the state trying to reach. Brian Steele mentioned it in his pseudo closing statements yesterday, that some of the lyrics the state was using against Young Thug, 1, weren't even his lyrics, 2, weren't written by him, and 3, weren't even said by him in most cases. So the state's case from start to finish to even moving forward now is still going to be an entire mess. So those who doubted, I think y'all have a lot of explaining to do. Last thing I want to show is this video from Doug Weinstein. And you can hear in his voice that he knows the battle isn't over, but it's great to get a small victory along the way. Y'all check this out.
Okay. It's the morning after. Jeffrey is released, and we are all thrilled. Now the question is, who's sticking with us? Who is going to keep watching this trial?
We're going to be here.
Who is going to keep pressure on the DA's office for a just trial, for fairness? Obviously the judge, but who out in the public is going to continue to exert all the pressure and provide all the eyes that have been on the case from the beginning with Jeffrey involved? I know a lot of y'all are going to stick around, and we all appreciate that. But to steal a line from the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness, and maybe justice dies in darkness. So, I hope you guys keep watching the trial. I hope they keep streaming it. I hope enough people watch it so that they find a commercial reason to keep streaming it. And let's see what happens. But thank you all for all of your support. And I hope you continue to watch the trial and support the two guys that remain in here that are fighting for their lives, just as we will continue fighting for them. Thank you.
Yeah, and shout out to Doug Weinstein. Y'all go give him a follow on X and on TikTok if you haven't yet. Yeah, I'm sure he's exhausted at this point, celebrating, but still seeing the work ahead. But Doug Weinstein has an amazing team with Doug Weinstein and Jay Apt over there. I think they're going to do a great job moving forward, defending Yak Gotti. And even in most of these instances, there is just still.
Right. And so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
So we'll be here to see what happens. I'm going to continue to cover this trial on this channel. So everybody who's subscribed and has liked the videos, make sure y'all hang around, because it's still going to be a long battle for both of these defendants. And I want to see the outcome of this trial, not only just because I'm invested for as long as we've been covering this, but I do think the state really has a terrible case, and it's happening right here in Fulton County. So we're going to be here too. Let me read some of these comments. Thank you to everybody who is dropping super chats in there. I think it's always funny when y'all try and correct my pronunciation in the chat. Shout out to M Medina, says it's Mariah, not Maria. It can still be pronounced Maria. All you're doing is adding the H. That does not help me. Shout out to M though. I appreciate you being here. We had a couple super chats in the building as well. Shout out to Mika. I already read that one from Mika. Y'all make sure you go subscribe to her channel. And we've also got the amazing, awesome Amy in here. Says, how about that, Vera? Oh man, Vera has disappeared. Where is Vera? Vera was all up and down Law and Crimes live stream, all up and down a ton of live streams who have been covering this case, saying that Thug's going to prison. I hope he gets life. He's never getting out. Well, you were wrong. Shout out to Amy for the 5 bomb as well. We also have Peppermint in here. Says, are they eligible for presidential pardons? So from what I understand, a pardon is only for federal charges. But instead of me guessing, let's just look it up real quick and find out. Let's see. Can someone be pardoned by the president for state charges? And I should have looked this up yesterday when somebody else brought it up. So unfortunately, they cannot. A president cannot pardon someone for state charges. The president's pardon power only extends to federal crimes under the U.S. Constitution. State crimes fall under the jurisdiction of each individual state. So only a governor, or in some states, a pardon board or commission, has the authority to pardon state offenses. For instance, if someone were convicted of a crime in Georgia, only Georgia's governor or an authorized state agency could issue a pardon for that state offense. But we're going to go through Young Thug's full disposition here in a second. So I was able to get that, and we're going to look and see what the special conditions are. Obviously, break down his fines, how much time he's going to serve, what he pled guilty to. And honestly, for someone who, other than some gun charges and having drugs, Young Thug pretty much kept his nose clean, if we're going to keep it real. So I don't think Young Thug specifically is going to have a hard time staying out of trouble. He just needs to stay in the house, get his touring done, stay away from the certain people, which is already included in his probation. And I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine for sure. Right Street says Brian Kemp ain't fitting to pardon him. Oh, you already know. You already know. Nomad said ClassE. isn't the state trying to convict him, say it's on par with the federal? No, but we're going to go through what he pled guilty to. The state has nothing else left for Young Thug at all. So yeah, they won't be able to do anything there. Also, shout out to Sonia McNeil in the building. Just dropped the 10 bomb. Thank you so much, Sonia. Just showing some love. And I need to add y'all in the banner too, especially since the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell just dropped 100 bomb over on the Cash App. Shout out to Kel Bell for that. All right, I'll update that here in a second. Let me read a couple more comments and then we'll get into the next part I want to cover, which is, I don't know if y'all saw this or not, but this is the post. Well, Thugger Daily said it was a post-game interview. Shout out to Thugger Daily for putting it that way. That was absolutely hilarious. But anyway, this is the post-plea hearing interview that took place from Brian Steele and Keith Adams. We're going to go through that here in a second. If y'all haven't seen it, you're definitely in for a treat. And thank you to Sonia McNeil as well. What else are y'all saying? Shout out to Co-Kid, said Thug really took a gamble with that plea he took. Man, I dropped a video this morning of the reaction that everyone had and my reaction too. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he was taking the plea in the first place, but to put it in the hands of Judge Whitaker. Hey, you know what? I was going to leave y'all alone about this. So many of y'all, even in this community, had turned against Judge Whitaker. I think y'all owe Judge Whitaker an apology. I was the last one holding on. I said, hey, listen, y'all. Listen. Judge Whitaker, she's a straight shooter. She wants to run this trial smooth. She just wants to get through the process. She gave the defense an opportunity to say, hey, y'all want a mistrial? What are we doing here? Because I don't want to go through this anymore. And you could even see during the hearing yesterday that she was giving Miss Love so much attitude. I told y'all to hang on. Don't lose faith in Judge Whitaker. And I think she came through. All right. So, hey, shout out to Judge Whitaker. Mr. Freezer says, I mess with Judge Whitaker. Yeah. Lauren Robinson says, I'll apologize after Yak and Kendrick are done. Okay. All right. Michi says, I don't owe her anything for doing her job. Laugh out loud. It's about time. See, y'all stubborn, man. Put some respect on Judge Whitaker's name. She's got a W in her name for a reason. Brooke Allen's in here says, I feel like he did what he needed to do for his family, but I still think it wasn't a good deal for him. I feel like it would have been a not guilty. I agree. I'm shocked Steele let him agree. Well, Brian Steele said multiple times yesterday that he did not want Young Thug to take this deal. And we're going to hear a little bit later that Young Thug's father said, hey, I agree with Brian Steele. I think he would have gotten away with a not guilty and he should have just followed this through. But when you have a family, when you have kids, that really does change everything. It really does change a lot. So I understand. I think it wasn't the greatest deal. It's definitely not a bad deal. And Thug will probably have a better time making it through this next 15 years or however long it is than he would getting to the end and getting a guilty verdict on a RICO charge. Man, it's a tough situation to be in. I don't think any of us could say what he should have done or what we would have done unless you're there. So Amy said they wanted him to be responsible so he could be sued. But I don't see that happening. The state was gassing them people up for nothing. The state's case is garbage. Let me get a couple more comments, then we'll get to the next segment. Goner Dang says, will Thug be eligible for the 3-year early probation termination then? Or is he not eligible because of the backloaded years on his sentence? That is a great question. I'm not going to answer that because I'm not an attorney. But from what I understand is yes to your first question. He will be eligible for the 3 years early probation termination. And Judge Whitaker mentioned that a little bit last night, but again, I'm going to let the attorneys handle that because I could be completely and totally wrong. Let's see. Anonymous person says Thug wouldn't have signed without knowing this was a backdoor deal. Nothing new in our system of money and politics. Yeah, and y'all know Love, Hilton, Fannie are all mad because Judge Whitaker did not let them seize his property either. So he's gonna get all of his stuff back. It's dope. All right, last one. We'll get into this interview. S. Dot from Detroit says, Love bothered me to my core trying to get the family to make a statement when no one has been convicted on the murder. And it really, I mean, other than the RICO, it didn't have anything to do with Young Thug. Puerto Rican Gloria says no. She said after half the probation completed, then it falls off, which would be 7 years. We're gonna look at the disposition here in a second. Thank you for that, Gloria. All right, let's get into this interview. So this is we're gonna call it the post-game interview. I like how Thugger Daily put that, from Brian Steele and Keith Adams. Taking a win, or what as much of a win as you could say in this instance, and giving their thoughts on what went down. So y'all check it out and let me know what you think.
Well, this was excruciating.
Let me rewind it a little bit.
EEL.
And I'm Keith Adams, KEITH ADAMS.
And talk us through the decision to do a plea when
They had a helicopter going on, flying by.
just how today ended up going and transpiring.
Well, this was excruciating because hopefully, in our collective opinion, Jeffrey would have been found not guilty of everything. So this is very painful. But that's another 3 months or so in custody. And he wants to go home to his family.
Mm-hmm.
And negotiations totally broke down with the district attorney's office. Horribly broke down. And at that point, we believe that justice would be found with the honorable court. And Jeffrey just wanted to go home. How agonizing it is to know that we've spent a year trying a case where the prosecutors have put on lies, knowing lies, hiding evidence, is insane in 2024 in the United States of America. And the only reason that this got revealed is because of you people. You people brought the truth to the community, because nobody knows this. This is not the only courtroom it's happening in, and I just want to thank all of you. I especially want to thank Jeffrey for letting me represent him. I think he's a wonderful person who does wonderful things and will continue to do things even greater. I cannot express to you how Shaquille Kokomo, how Trisha Renard, how Haley, how my wife Colette, how Bram,
Shout out to Colette.
how countless people, but especially Miss Courtney Edwards, has worked without sleep for 3 years representing Jeffrey and helping him. I will never be able to stand with anyone more ethical, honest, hardworking, insightful, intelligent, and kind than the Honorable Keith Adams. The gentleman to my left is the best lawyer in the country.
Oh, look at him.
Mr. Steele, do you think prosecutors negotiated in good faith at all during any of these negotiations?
Why don't you let me take this one? Let me answer that. The short answer is no. This is a case that possibly could have been resolved if folks were reasonable. But we did not believe that we could enter into good faith negotiations with people who wanted a case resolved
That's Young Thug's
in a
dad back
manner
there.
simply to save face. And Jeffrey Williams was not going to say things that they wrote for him, that they wanted him to say, that was their theory when it wasn't true. And so, good faith, no. I don't believe we were ever really negotiating in good faith. And you've been here the past year that this case has been on trial. You've seen the numerous motions for mistrial. You've seen the behavior of the state. You've seen the dishonesty. You've seen everything being hidden. You've seen things come out in court, in front of you. And so you know what kind of prosecution we were dealing with, and that's okay. You know, Mrs. Steele and I have fought through this the past 2.5 years. And as he said, we ultimately decided we were going to put our faith in the court as opposed to the folks on the other side of the aisle. And, you know, the best thing out of all of this is that Jeffrey Williams, in a very short period of time, will be home. And that's all we've wanted from May 9th, when they went and picked him up and have held him in jail without a bond for the past 2.5 years. He'll be home shortly.
Keith and Brian, this either one of you can answer. So I have 2 questions for you. First off, you go into a blind plea, you don't know, right?
Yeah, scary.
Nothing for sure. What was your emotions like when you guys went into that? I would imagine the conversation, can you kind of take us into the room before you went out into court, what the conversations were back and forth? Obviously, I know there's attorney-client privilege, but it's a big decision.
Well,
so if y'all didn't hear the question, he said going into the blind plea or the non-negotiated plea, he said that probably had to have been pretty nerve-wracking. So what were your thoughts? What happened going into that? And how do you feel about it now was the question, because I know it's kind of quiet.
Attorney-client privilege, but it's a big decision.
Well, I didn't want to give up the jury trial, but that was the decision made. And once that decision was made, we were just thankful that there are people like the Honorable Judge Whitaker who understands what a trial is like and what it should be like.
That's what we've been saying.
The Honorable Court for being here and coming in. She is not our first judge, but she's the first time we received justice.
Mr. Adams, this is your second high-profile RICO
Shout to
case here
Joe
in
Cole.
Fulton County. Do you think that maybe the prosecutor's office is abusing that statute? And what are your opinions of RICO generally?
I have.
Ooh, this is a great question. So he asked Keith Adams, who has been involved in another RICO trial, which we'll get into at a later date. Won't get into that today. But he asked him, do you think RICO is being abused by the state or by the current DA? It's going to be an interesting answer from Mr. Adams.
That statute, and what are your opinions of RICO generally?
I have, for the 30 some odd years that I've practiced law, always believed that if you as a prosecutor think that someone has committed a crime, you charge them with the crime, you put it in front of a jury, and then you do it fairly and let the chips fall where they may. The courtroom is not the place to get adventurous, to get inventive, to think, well, we don't have evidence on him for any of these incidents, but maybe, if just maybe, we tie him up in a RICO and put him with people who may have committed crimes, we can get him that way. That's an abuse. And so, yes, for some strange reason, the Fulton County DA's office seems to be in love with RICO.
Ooh.
And my honest opinion is that they're in love with it because it makes it easier for them to try and convict people that they otherwise could not convict. And that's what was happening here. We're fighting a mountain, reams of evidence, most of which didn't have anything to do with us. And so, is it an abuse? I think it is. There are better ways to, and I used to be a prosecutor, right? And I can tell you that there are better ways to prosecute cases than the way this case was prosecuted.
Right, and so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
And shout out to Keith Adams for giving us the best sound clip of this entire trial. He's 1000% right, as y'all know. Fannie Willis abused this entire RICO act. And not only was she willing to let murderers go free, well, alleged murderers go free, but she was willing to drop murder charges on top of that. And Young Thug, the person she's saying mastermind this entire thing, he's not being held guilty for a RICO charge. So basically what the state is saying is, all right, fine, you didn't mastermind this entire thing, but somebody did out there somewhere, and you just had some guns and some drugs. So why was Thug here for 2+ years in the first place? Something needs to happen, and trust you and me, I'm going to find out what I can do, what we can do, and what the rest of Fulton County can do, other than voting, which I already have, to hold the Fulton County DA's office accountable, because it's terrible.
You guys obviously rejected initially what the state was going to offer. Is there some details you can give us? Because it sounds like from what you guys decided in court, I mean, it's still pretty stringent. There's a lot of different details, but what was the state asking for that you guys rejected?
Yeah, and this reporter is asking what was the original offer from the state as far as the plea deal that Brian Steele allegedly laughed in their face about.
I'm not going to get into plea negotiations because they are privileged under statute, but it was outrageous. They would let him out of custody, but they would have a tether around him so tight.
I believe
that
it
is unconscionable.
And how are y'all feeling about what the sentencing is, especially with not being able to be in Metro Atlanta except for specific parameters, and how is Mr. Williams feeling about that decision?
You know, we're okay with the sentence. There comes a time in any case, if a person is sentenced, that we're out of the courtroom, and now what happens to that person is entirely up to them. Jeffrey Williams is a fantastically talented man. He is a great person. He's become a great friend over the course of the last couple of years. And he has the ability, the incentive to go forth and do everything he needs to do to put this behind him. And we're confident that he will. One of the questions you asked a little earlier was, what was that feeling like, stepping into a courtroom to do what's called a blind plea, not knowing what's going to happen?
It's crazy.
You know, it's a scary feeling for all involved. There's probably no feeling quite like that other than sitting in a courtroom waiting for a jury to come out and tell you what your fate is. But we walked in there knowing that we were in front of a fair tribunal and being comfortable that the right thing was going to happen.
Brilliant move. Brilliant move by them.
Thinking about your client just serving as a role model, obviously as part of the agreement, he's going to be participating in the community, doing events, things like that. Obviously, he has a huge reach for what he does for a living.
I've known Jeffrey Williams. I've defended him for over a decade. I have been with him where we go to young children, children in need, children who are going down the wrong way. And he tells exactly what he's going to continue to say. He tells everybody, this is not a good life. We have to stop the generational disaster that is plaguing the community. And although right now I'm successful, I'm a product, but every one of you can get out. And he always stresses education. Jeffrey Williams is a great person, a great role model, and he will do even better now, hopefully, if you allow him and his words to get out. As far as how Jeffrey's feeling now, he knows my feelings, which I'm not going to reveal for attorney-client privilege, but this is not the same as a not guilty verdict. That should have been rang. But nobody here wakes up every day on a concrete floor that they're calling his bed, gets up at 4:15, gets shackled at his feet, his waist, and his hands, comes to the Fulton County Courthouse to be on concrete, eating out of a bag. Doritos is his meal of choice.
Jeez.
And then coming to a courtroom and sit there with a leg chain on him every single day and hear lie after lie. So for Jeffrey go home today and not have another 90 days or 120 days of it, he is very happy, thankful to the Honorable Court. So to answer your question, this was not what I wanted. I don't believe that it is just, but I believe that under these circumstances, it is justice for Jeffrey Williams, and he is delighted, as are we, and thankful.
Can I ask you, you were standing right next to him as he was addressing the judge. What seemed like a very sincere apology to her, or apology to the court, and what happened.
Yeah, and Valencia asked a great question. So how does this affect his music career? Will he be able to travel? Judge Whitaker said yesterday he gets to keep all of his passports. Like, this is, we're going to go through his disposition in a second. So y'all just bear with me. And if you're watching the replay, or if you're watching this as a standalone video, make sure you check out the next video, because some of the special conditions of his disposition or his plea are absolutely amazing and very, very favorable to him. So we'll get into it here in a second. Let me run this back.
He was addressing the judge. What seemed like a very sincere
Yes.
apology to her, or apology to the court and what happened, what has gone on. How did you feel sitting next to him, knowing him for the last decade as an attorney for him, about what he was saying and what he was telling the judge?
Jeffrey Williams is being truthful. That is his heartfelt feelings. He feels so bad for the loss of life, and he feels bad that people are taking his music or his social postings and making it into violence. That is all promotion. That is not a symbol of go hurt somebody. So I hope I've answered your question directly, but how I felt, I've heard that from Jeffrey over and over again.
You called out a lot of challenges in this trial based on the prosecution's points. Do you have any message to, the co-counsel that for now is still on trial, or what's left of this?
Oh my God, they are phenomenal lawyers, and I'm confident if you keep going, which I assume you will, you will see some great lawyering. They don't need my help.
And the truth is, they've been there with us for the past 2.5 years. They're aware of what they're up against. They are totally capable of handling it. And I presume we'll step in from time to time because, in this fight in the past 2.5 years, we've been together. So we needed something, they've been there to assist. And if they need something, we're happy to step right back in and assist.
Oh, that's dope, man.
But they're great lawyers. Max Shard, Doug Weinstein. Those gentlemen are in great hands. They'll be fine.
I will say this. I think it is wrong, and it needs to be fixed, that an innocent man is arrested on May 9th of 2022, is denied bond, and has to plead guilty and nolo to get freedom after 2.5 years in custody. That should not happen. Nobody should be on trial. Jurors, think about what they're going through. Nobody should be on trial like this. And if Mr. Williams didn't have the resources, this never happens well for anybody.
That's
so I think
true.
It's an abuse.
Talk about it, Brian.
The AJC's question, I think it's an abuse of the statute of RICO to do this to people.
Is it fair to say you don't believe justice was served today?
I believe that Mr. Williams is home, and I'm delighted. Justice would have been served on May 8th of 2022 if the grand jury no-billed his indictment. That would have been just. And it's wrong to be under investigation. He's been under investigation for 15 years. 15 years by task force of federal government and local government. Think about that. Think about your children doing that. And that's okay. If it's okay with you all, then we should really start moving to another country. I want to thank everybody so much for everything you do. I cannot thank you all, because without you guys, this just keeps rolling in injustice. It's got to end.
That's true.
The criminal justice system, the presumption of innocence, the Brady rules, the ethical rules, they have to survive. Otherwise, we all are victims of this. Anyone can sit in that seat next to Keith Adams. Thank you all so much.
And no one sees it unless you guys do what you do. But I tell you what, there is a whole world of people out there who have watched this trial over the course of the past 2.5 years. The past year that we've actually been in the courtroom trying the case, who are much more educated to how things work, and unfortunately, sometimes how things don't work. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Very well said. There it is. Keith Adams and the Honorable Keith Adams and the Honorable Brian Steele. Amazing, amazing work. And they said it right. Can you imagine someone like me, someone like y'all in the chat who doesn't have the resources of a Young Thug being in the same position? And we were even talking about it last night, just how you never know. Innocent people get held in court, held in prison, and they're innocent all the time. Every single day it happens. And as we see in this case, this man, Young Thug, had a RICO charge against him, and he's not even guilty of that according to the law. So it's hard to see. I think we still have a lot of work to do here. And one of the reasons I want to follow this this trial all the way through to the end is because we have to continue to educate, continue to see from the other side what the court system looks like and how you can not only protect yourself from it, but some of the things you might face if you find yourself, God forbid, as Brian Seal says, on that side. So thank y'all, man. Let me know what y'all think about this press conference. Absolutely amazing. It's going to be one that goes down in history. And by y'all being involved and being here and commenting, you've been a part of this history too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Let me read a couple of these super chats. Thank you to everybody who's been dropping super chats in here, man. Y'all are being so generous. I appreciate it. We got Sonia in there. Shout out to Sonia. Also, shout out to Star Wars Iron Giant. Dropped a 5-bomb, said, "Good morning, sir. I called the time served yesterday when you asked under what conditions would he plead out. Put some respect on my name." You definitely called it, Star Wars Iron Giant. Yeah, shout out to you. Full drinking, half thinking is in the building. He drops the 10 bomb, just showing some love with the salute. And out here flexing too. Y'all go make sure you go show him some love. Amazing content creator as well. And if y'all could drop the link in the chat to his YouTube channel, I would appreciate it. Y'all go support him. And then we got Chris K in here dropping the 5 bomb. What does Chris say? "Thank you for the coverage. What do you think the jury will think when they come back and there is only 2 defendants in the court?" They're gonna be like, hold on. This is a RICO charge. And they have all these defendants that are gone. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 defendants just disappear. How is this a RICO? Now, Brian Steele and Keith Adams mentioned, and Keith Adams specifically hinted at, hey, if they need help, we're going to be here in court to help them. Y'all can guarantee anytime Thug's name is brought up in evidence, or if they have a certain witness that's on the stand, one of these guys, or even maybe Mr. Kokomo or someone who represents their team, will be in there in the courtroom just to hear what's going on. Be like, hey, Doug, you want me to get up there? I'll get up there if y'all need help. Because the jury is going to be so confused. Now, when it comes to how this looks for SB and Yak Gotti, it could be a bad thing, in my opinion, because now that all these other guys got moved out the way, the jury, and what I would be thinking as a juror personally, I would be thinking, dang, if they got rid of all these other dudes, these really must be the guys who have the most evidence against them, maybe. So I don't know. Y'all have to let me know what you think about that. But the jury's definitely going to be crazy confused. And I'm sure they're going to be watching the YouTube videos too, even though they're not supposed to. Thank you for the super chat. We also have Christina Flora in here, just gifted 5 membership. So if you got a membership from her, make sure you say thank you. Thank you for that, Christina Flora. I appreciate you. Also, Comic is in here, says, with the 10 bomb, passport is worthless if the country visiting won't allow you in because you are a convicted felon. Yes, but the key word there is if. We're talking about Young Thug. He's an international superstar. Depending on the country, if there are special conditions and he has Brian Steele go back and forth with the powers that be that are allowing or won't allow Young Thug into that country, I really can't see him. I really can't see him having too much of a deal, especially if he's going to be in concert and he's like, hey, I'm going to bring this much money into your country just by being here. I can imagine any country would be like, all right, fine, just don't act up or you'll never be allowed in the country again, type of thing. But I don't know how that usually goes. But the fact that he just has the option to even have the conversation, I think is huge for him as an artist. And shout out to Gerard in here with the 2 bomb. Thank you so much with the super sticker, just showing love. We also have Elizabeth Wright is in here with the 5 bomb, says Steele is going after the DA's office. He is going to be a pit bull against Loria Love now. Fannie Willis has not heard the last of Brian Steele or Keith Adams. I can guarantee you that. Shout out to Penny is in here as well. Drops the 10 bomb, says, thank you for your coverage with this case. Thank you for being here and watching. If you're staying in, I'm right there with you. No justice, no peace. Yeah. F the corrupt DA and Miss Love. Dear World Christian is in the building. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Dear World Christian. We actually had his producer over here. Miss Mandy Reacts was in the building. And now Dear World Christian is in the building. It says, salute to a great content creator. Same right back at you, man. Thank you. Keep the excellent work rolling. Keep at it, sure. And y'all make sure, I know Amy's in here. Amy, can you please drop a link to Dear World Christian's YouTube channel? He's done a great job covering this case. And y'all actually saw in one video that we did, you got to see Dear Woke Christian in the court pleading his case, trying to get his Rule 22. Told Judge Whitaker he's going to be in there tweeting, going back and forth and live streaming on his own. So he got that Rule 22, and congratulations to you again. I think I said something to you about it on X, but yeah, shout out to Dear Woke Christian. He was actually down there in the courtroom for multiple days, and y'all go check him out. Super great content creator. Thank you for stopping by, man. Thank you for the support. We've got Kate Wilson in here, says, with the 2 bomb, is the defense filing a prosecutorial misconduct? Now, again, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know but you're saying the defense. They're going to keep pushing the defense in general. If you're talking about Brian Steele specifically, I don't know what, if anything, they can do now that their client has pled guilty and he's basically out of this trial. I don't know if there's anything specifically that Brian Steele and Keith Adams can do, but I can guarantee Doug Weinstein still believes and has been saying throughout multiple interviews that he has faith that not only is the prosecutorial misconduct and everything that's gone on in this trial going to come to light, but he still believes that there is a huge case building for a mistrial. So even by the end of this trial, Doug Weinstein has faith that Judge Whitaker is going to have to make that tough decision and just end this thing. So prosecutorial misconduct is just a small part of that. And I think they're going to continue to push that narrative as well. Also, shout out to Chi-Town in the building. Give them 5 memberships. Thank you so much. If you got a membership from Chi-Town Carrie, make sure you say thank you. And speaking of Chi-Town, we got to talk about Lil Durk here coming up soon, because that whole thing is a mess. We've also got Shantae Massey is in the building with the 5 bomb, says, started watching the trial off your platform first. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you for being here, Shantae. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Elizabeth Wright is back in here with the 5 bomb, says, there will still be a mistrial by the end of November. Listen, I don't think you're wrong. The state will not follow the rules. They don't know how. And I mean, let's be real. The players aren't changing. Yeah, they removed Miss Love from the first chair and now it's Adam Abadi. But Adam Abadi has kind of been looking a little shaky. Miss Hilton was the one who got us in, or well, not us, who got them in this whole mess they're in the first place when she pushed Winnie Lee to read the hashtag Free Quay. So now you've got 2 murder charges dropped. You've got one defendant that, yeah, maybe he pleaded to a RICO, but he's out of there. And then you have the guy that you said was the entire mastermind behind these murders that took place, and now he's free? This team of prosecutors is absolutely terrible. And I'm sorry. I'm not an attorney, so maybe an attorney will have a different take. But look at what they've done just leading up to this point. To think that it's not going to continue, I think would be giving them way too much credit. So Elizabeth Wright, you are 100% correct. They're not going to follow the rules. And I think Doug Weinstein called it too. There's going to be a mistrial coming. All right. We've got Chi-Town Carrie in here with another 5 memberships. Oh my gosh. Thank you. If you got a membership from Chi-Town Carrie, make sure you say thank you. And then, of course, we have Gigi in here with the 20 bomb saying, you're amazing. Thank you, Gigi. You're amazing, too. Thank you for being here. All right. We still got a lot to get to, y'all. So I want to go through this quick interview from Young Thug's father, and we're going to hear what he has to say in a minute. I want to catch a couple more of these comments and see what y'all are saying in here. Yeah, shout out to Dear Woke Christian. Y'all, please make sure that you go and support him and show him some love. All the content creators in here, thank y'all for stopping by. He said, Dear Woke Christian says, free the jury. I'm not gonna lie, Dear Woke Christian, I'm still mad at the jury. Judge Whitaker, I think, and y'all let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. I think Judge Whitaker gained 10,000 cool points with everybody here and everyone who's been watching this trial. But when it comes to the jury, I'm still pissed at them because they had an opportunity when Judge Whitaker said, hey, y'all remember that guy, Lil Woody? Yeah. Y'all remember all those interviews you watched of him that you're not supposed to be watching that he did, talking about this trial, talking about how he was mad at Thug for mentioning him in the halftime song. Y'all remember that guy? Yeah. Can you disregard all of his testimony that took place from the 12th through the 14th? Yeah, we can do that. The jury should have ended this a long time ago. Now, the process would have been a little bit different, and we probably would have seen these guys stay in prison maybe a little bit longer, depending on what Judge Whitaker decided to do. But I mean, come on, jury, for real. Y'all can disregard that. Disregard. Man, no, I'm not rocking with the jury at all. That's why I don't trust the jury. Robert J is in here, dropped the 2 bomb. Says, thank you for your podcast. Appreciate you. Javier LaFleur said, why are you mad at the jury? Because they lied. This could have been done. Judge Whitaker up there. Can you disregard what Lil Woody said? Y'all remember that guy? Yeah, just disregard it, please. Dear Rock Christian says, respect. The jury had one job and they fumbled the ball. You're right. It's your fault, jury. Yeah, Dear Woke Christian, thank you for the 5 bomb. This could have been done 2 months ago. So yeah, I'm not rocking with the jury. We're gonna have some words after this, and maybe we can get some jurors up here to talk about the trial. Probably not, but we'll see what we can do. Anyway, Young Thug's father, y'all saw him standing in the background of Brian Steele and Keith Adams' press conference. Had some things he wanted to say as well about what went on during this trial and how he feels about the plea deal that Young Thug took. Let's go ahead and get into it, and shout out to 11 Alive for the video here. Let's check it out. Well, I like the hat that he's wearing too.
I was kind of startled behind it because I was in agreement with Brian and Keith. You know, let's keep fighting. You know what I'm saying? You know, let's make them continue to embarrass themselves. You know, but at the same token, my son is I've never tried to interfere with his decisions. I just try to give him the knowledge of making the best decision that he sees fit for him. And I support him.
And so what was it like that he's going home?
I feel great that he's going home.
Yeah, he does look like.
I feel great that he's going home, but at the same token, I still wanted to fight. But that's his decision. That's his decision. You know, on the other hand, I raised him to be the man that he is. You know, I've always been in his life from a pup to now. And I'm going to continue to be in his life. You know, and as an adult, he has to make his own decision.
And
you know,
do you live here in Metro Atlanta?
Yes, I do.
So how does it feel to hear that he's not allowed to be in Metro Atlanta?
I'm totally against that because this is where he's from. You know, and to have a...
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
District attorney take that away from him that isn't a resident from here. She's from another state. You know, and to see her take a man away from where he's from to have to go live somewhere else, that's offensive to me. I'm really offended by it.
Can you talk about, sorry, I thought you were done. I was just saying, can you talk about your bond through music, and part of his conditions is that he can still make music, still do some performances. I know you said you were hoping to get back to that with him.
Yeah, we're going to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're YSL loaded. I'm YSL loaded. You know, and in order for us to get back to our normal life, we're gonna have to put in some more work. We're gonna have to put in a lot of work.
That's true.
The work that we need to do foremost for the city of Atlanta, Fulton County, we need to get rid of the poison that's in our system. And that's the district attorney office.
Dang.
So vote Courtney Kramer.
Oh, look at him giving the endorsement to Courtney Kramer. I know he did this in the past, and he mentioned it on his podcast, which shout out to Gigi, said he has a podcast today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely check it out. I voted for Courtney Kramer. I know Fannie Willis is really focusing on her lack of experience, but I mean, are we still supposed to turn a blind eye to the corruption? Not only in this case, as you heard Keith Adams mention, Fannie Willis is grossly abusing the RICO Act, but not only in this case, but in the Trump case where Fannie Willis had all those charges going at Donald Trump. Then she hired her boyfriend as a special prosecutor who had no experience. Come on, man. It's just a double standard after abuse, after corruption. So I'm willing to go ahead and give Courtney Kramer the wheel and see what she can do, because Fannie Willis ain't it. And that's putting it lightly. So if y'all haven't voted yet, you're in Fulton County, go ahead and get out there and vote. Do your part. It takes 2 seconds. And even if it takes an hour, it'll be worth it to say that you were able to impact and have real change in your own community. Because I mean, everybody thinks it's cool to get out and vote for the president, but there's a lot of things that we need to do locally, a lot more work we need to do locally to prevent these things and this type of corruption from going on. So make sure y'all get out there and do your part.
Courtney Kramer, I support Courtney Kramer to the fullest. I feel like she's the best person for the job, and it's not because of what she said about us. It's because she said that, and she was
Look at
in
Sylvia.
my company and never knew who I was.
What's that? Infamous Sylvia. Oh my God. Shout out to infamous Sylvia. This lady, man, she just cannot. She has no chill. I know that was not infamous Sylvia.
And it's not because of what she said about us. It's because she said.
Look at this. Oh my God. Wow. That lady's a mess. By the way, I lied. I did not vote for Courtney Kramer. I actually wrote in Javier LaFleur on there. So shout out to big Javi in the building, Javier M. Bailey. I wrote you in, Javier LaFleur. So you better do a good job. No, I'm playing. I voted for Courtney Kramer. But if I could write the Honorable Attorney Javier M. Bailey in there, I would have. Look at Miss Sylvia.
She was in my company and never knew who I was.
Absolutely true.
What are your thoughts on his art being used against him?
Not just the art, freedom of speech. Let's talk about his rights.
Facts.
We freedom of speech, man. You know, how can you take a person's freedom of speech and say, now we're gonna tell you how you need to talk or how you supposed to talk? You know, who would feel comfortable with? Would any of us out here right now feel comfortable with someone telling us, you confirmed from saying this? You can't say that? You know, what do the Constitution play a role at? You know, these young men, all of these young men, and some of us too, all of our rights are being violated right now because we're being dictated to on how we supposed to live, how we supposed to look, what we supposed to say. You know, we have a Constitution. When are we gonna start acknowledging our Constitution? You know, we did away with communism. I can't tell. You know, we took down a statue. We tore up a flag. What about the laws? Let's change the laws too. You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna do away with it, let's do away with all of it. Change the law. We're in a new day and time. Let's make the laws for the new day and time.
Do you think his lyrics will change now?
I hope not. I wouldn't. But, you know, he's behind the 8 ball right now. So we're going to have to justify something. We're going to have to make some justification on how we got the narrated now. You know, and that's sad. That's sad that a man's out to do that, and that's his way of life. That's how he feeds himself. That's how he feeds his family. That's his job.
And how
Are you going to be at Rice Street right now?
Huh?
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely.
So we thank you guys. We do got to head to Wright Street.
One more quick question. Any words that you want to wish to anybody else remaining on the case? Anything you want to say to them?
Yeah.
So they're holding Young Thug in Rice Street. Did I hear that right? Oh man, I hope that's not true. I gotta run this back and make sure I heard that right.
Change now.
I hope not. I wouldn't. But, you know, he's behind the 8 ball right now. So we're going to have to justify something. We're going to have to make some justification on how we got the narrated now. You know, and that's sad. That's sad that a man's out to do that, and that's his way of life. That's how he feeds himself. That's how he feeds his family. That's his job.
And how
Are you going to be at Rice Street right now?
Huh?
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely.
So we thank you guys. We do got to head to Wright Street.
One more quick question. Any words that you want to wish to anybody else remaining on the case? Anything you want to say to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they took him to Rice Street.
People that's left on this case, along with the people who are waiting to be charged.
Probably the process
Keep your
out
heads
though.
up, keep fighting. Sooner or later, somebody gonna have to make a decision. We need to start making the people accountable that makes the decisions for us. So we need to put the right people in office. We need to start scanning the people that we vote for.
And now that we have voting right now, it needs to be a presidential topic. It needs to be a topic about prison and reform. Why, you know, the presidents are not discussing this during their debates. It needs to be at the forefront of the presidential debates at this time. So.
But the people got to make that decision.
Yeah, we got to make that.
You know, and I'm gonna leave y'all with this. In any fight you go through in life, and anything that you have to deal with in life, you can't be scared. You can't be scared. And I'm out of here.
Oh, he wiped his nose too. Oh, shout out to Pops.
Jeffrey and the entire family from this point moving forward.
Sounds like Sylvia.
Get to your kids, get to your grandkids, support them, tell them you love them, hug them, just be there. Just be there.
And if you see something wrong and you see something that's not just, say something. Get in good trouble. In the words of John Lewis, say something.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and let it happen if it's not your family. Don't wait till it's your family. If you see his family, anybody else's family, like the other guys that are still here, don't just stop coming because Thug is out. There's still other guys fighting for their lives. Still come, still support the others that are still here.
Right.
Because we will. So we thank you guys.
So I will be informing you all later on the extortment that came to me from the DA office. I was extorted.
You were extorted?
I was extorted by the DA office.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Shout out to Pops, man. He's wiping his nose. He said, I'm out. Yeah, that's great to hear too, that they're going to be there supporting the other defendants as well, because the fight isn't over and they know and understand and see now how this is a bigger problem. It's all about the DA's office. It's all about what Fannie Willis is doing. And I'm going to do my part here to keep shining a light to this, especially being in Fulton County. And then hopefully, even if you're not in Fulton County, this will push you not only to be more involved and have more of an understanding of what's going on in your county and in your state, but all around the US, really. There's just so much more we can do. And it's just simple steps that we can take just by educating ourselves and continuing to have those type of conversations. Thank y'all for the support, man. This is amazing. Shout out to Pops in there. He said, oh, work's not done yet. Javier LaFleur said, I love that. Say something if you see something. Being done wrong is the message. I agree. Yeah, and we had a couple of super chats in here too. Big shout out to Rose over on the Cash App. She dropped a 10 bomb, just showing love. Shout out to Rose. Thank you for that. No comment at all either. Who else did we have? We had Michi in here, said, Classy Beats, you want Whitaker love? Give the jury grace.
Stop the cap.
No. Nope. Not doing it. She said no Whitaker love here. Absolutely. We love Judge Whitaker here. I'm going to get a Judge Whitaker t-shirt. Y'all going to be big mad. Raymond dropped the 2 bomb, said Big Jeff didn't have to wipe his nose. Oh. Yeah, it looks like YSL might not be gone. What do y'all think? What do y'all think is going to happen to YSL after this? I can't really ask this in a poll, but y'all let me know in the comments and in the chat. Where does YSL, the record label, go from this? Obviously, the record label is probably still going to say the same, but there's going to be a lot of changes that are going to have to take place moving forward. I mean, Young Thug said, and we're going to actually get into his disposition next. He said he's going to change his whole brand, really. So I wonder what that looks like. What do y'all think? Michi in here with the 2 bombs says Fanny's Fanny is getting a Rico. Whoop that Fanny. Yeah, we gonna get her. We gonna do our part. Les Cleaver is in here as well. Drops the 2 bomb or the 199. It says, I think he's saying he's with Michi 100%. All right, shout out to Les Cleaver. Thank you for that. What do y'all think is gonna happen to YSL? Sean P said he ain't changing everything. Amy says she's in my good graces, but we ain't wearing t-shirts. Oh, dang, Amy, come on. She said she should have thrown everything out. She definitely had more opportunities too, but I mean, after this last instance or situation, she really didn't have a choice. Javier LaFleur said, these folks riding in Maybachs in the A. I'm about to buy my cars from here. Sheesh. YSL needs to be scraped. It ain't gonna hit the same. Well, it's Young Thug and Gunna, and we'll see that covered here in his disposition. He asked specifically, or pacifically, let me say it correctly. He asked specifically to be able to have contact with and to work with Gunna. So, man, listen. Y'all, when Young Thug drops music, it's gonna break. I mentioned this a couple of months ago. It's gonna break every record that's ever been broken, ever. It'll be interesting to see what he does, but I hope it's just a single because it's gonna break every record that's ever been set when it comes to music release. I promise. What did Amy said something in here too? Oh, Rice Street earlier said that he had Young Thug sign the wall on the way out. Get out of here, Rice Street. They're gonna have to stress Stoner, not Slime. No, it's Young Saved Life now. It's not Young Stoner Life. It is Young Saved Life. Saved Life. That's what it stands for. Cookie Cook says the comeback album is gonna be with Kirk Franklin. It's about to be fire. That would be insane. Amy says he served 2.5 years and was wrongly accused of a lot. And that's time lost out his kids, etc. That doesn't sit right with me. I agree. It's not Judge Whitaker's fault. I mean, you can give her, if you want to put, 2 months on Judge Whitaker's books for that? That's fine. No, we support Judge Whitaker over here. Javier LaFleur says, Young Thug got to drop a first day out. Oh my gosh. Can y'all imagine? What that track is going to do? Shout out to Risa in here says he's going to be bigger now than he was before. Gunna was out there breaking records too. Wave Lori said first day out. Absolutely. Nisha says, I love Young Thug. My concerns is that he has to adjust his whole lifestyle, music and more. Many temptations. I wish my brother well. I think he'll be okay. I think as long as he has the right people around him, he has a great lawyer who's going to be checking up on him, making sure he's doing what he's supposed to do for the next, y'all are saying 7 years or so. Yeah, less. And we're going to stand on this. Probation Although this is a favorable deal, I won't go as far as to say amazing deal. This is a favorable deal. It's still a trap. I agree. 1000%. Sean P said it's Whitaker's fault. No, we support Judge Whitaker over here. I told y'all. You need to give Judge Whitaker some time, and she got there. All right. She had a whole mess to clean up. It was sloppy. Y'all know what was going on. Right Street said no more cap rap. Yep, I agree. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Michael says Paige done good. Yeah, I agree. Amy says, why y'all praising a woman that blame rap music for violence? Riddle me this. What kind of music these school shooters listen to, or does that only apply to black kids? Oh, Amy in here. Yo, why are you cooking like that, Amy? Geez, relax. That language wasn't fooling me. I mean, Judge Whitaker, she doesn't have to like rap music, Amy. Dang, I'm not going to allow this. But hey, Amy's right. She is right though. Jeez, Amy, relax. And you even who was it? Jay Apt, we call him Lil Doug over here, brought it up when he talked about movies. He talked about Al Capone. He talked about other instances. What did he say? Goodfellas. He brought up certain movies. Why aren't we holding them accountable? If you're going to use lyrics from an artist freely expressing or using this as an art form and exercising their First Amendment right, why aren't you going to go after all of these actors? Big facts. Rice Street says Amy Luther King Jr. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Watcher of Crazy, just gifted a membership. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am, I should say thank you, they. And it looks like Raymond got that membership. So Raymond, make sure you say thank you. Cynthia's in here, says good morning, ClassE and the Beat Chat. How are you doing this morning? We are doing great. We're about to get into this disposition. I think we should be good. It looks like we are at the 50% mark for likes. If y'all could, please, it's free. Just do me a favor. And I'm going to beg for likes until I get off of YouTube or until y'all get the likes up there. Can you just take a second and just like the video? It's free. It really does help the channel continue to grow. And it lets the algorithm know y'all are enjoying the show and it shares it with more people. All right. If y'all could do that, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I'll be reading super chats throughout the show. Watcher Crazy says, I'm a female and I was paying it forward because I was gifted one the other day. I appreciate you. Thank you, Watcher Crazy. I appreciate you. Who else? Let me see. I saw one more thing I wanted to address. Elizabeth Wright is in here, says she shouldn't judge and make assumptions on something she doesn't understand and doesn't make an effort to understand. Yeah, I agree. That was a little slight, but I mean, come on. It's Judge Whitaker. All right, we're gonna let her, we're gonna give her some grace. Amy says, yeah, but her comments came from some bigoted ideologies and I'm not feeling it. Yeah, I agree. When it comes to, I mean, think of some country music. Have y'all heard some of these country music songs out here? I'm not saying that Judge Whitaker only listens to country, but she knows it's not just a rap music thing. Like, this is out there and the messages are out there everywhere. So don't get it twisted. You're 1000% right, Amy. Sharice Washington says, you can't blame any of these rap artists for their lyrics. It is the parents' responsibility to monitor their children of what they listen to and watch. Speaking of movies, can Lil Durk hire Brian Steele? I think it depends on if Brian Steele is licensed in Chicago. Well, would he have to be if they're federal charges? Because those are federal charges, right? So I don't know. That's a good question. Javi can probably answer that. Sean P. Michi, I don't trust her at all. She adopted some of the crooked state bull junk. Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Noel West, says subscribe if you have not. I did this morning and my fingers did not fall off. See what I'm saying? It's safe, Noel. Tell them, like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It takes 2 seconds and no harm will come to you unless you're doing it while you're driving. In that case, stay off your phone while you're driving. It's not worth it. Sharice Wilson, Sharice Washington says, I was on needles because Whitaker was being wishy-washy. I had no idea how it was going to go. Javier LaFleur says, as long as Brian Steele is certified to handle federal cases, he could actually represent Lil Durk. Oh man, he's going to go back to back.
Another one.
Also, shout out to Kat Renee, says ClassE Beats best coverage without sales pitches and filler content. Oh man, thank you, Kat Renee. I appreciate it. Hey, we just over here having a good time. Thank y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it. The moment you all have been waiting for. This is the official final disposition of Young Thug. Now, as we mentioned before, Young Thug did have to get processed out at Rice Street. Thank God he didn't have to stay there, because I mean, this all could have been and gone a totally different way. But either way, here we have it in the Superior Court of Fulton County, state of Georgia. The state of Georgia versus Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug. The final disposition, felony with probation. Let's look at it. The court enters the following judgment. Here we go. Let's read the charges, the disposition, the sentence, the fine, and the concurrent or consecutive ruling on this. Okay, here we go. So we're going to read it straight across from left to right. The charge: conspiracy to violate the Racketeering, Influenced, and Corruption Organizations Act, the RICO Act. What did he plead? No to that one. All right. It's gone. They can't prosecute him anymore for that, which is insane. Because this whole time they were saying this guy was the only reason that they're bringing a RICO charge, and they're letting him go. This prosecution is absolute garbage, and it starts with Fannie Willis. Either way, what is he sentenced to? Obviously 20 years to serve 5, and the balance of 15 years served in probation. This is going to be pretty much what we're going to see moving forward. He does have to pay a fine of $25,000, commute to time served. All right. And Amy already mentioned he served 2.5 years. Is he actually going to do any time? Probably not. What is the next charge? The second charge, which was count 56, unlawful for a person who occupied a criminal street gang position of the organizer, supervisory, or management. Of course, no to that. 5 years to serve, backloaded. $15,000 fine there. Consecutive to count 1, backloaded. Count 57. Unlawful for person employed, associated with the criminal street gang to participate in criminal activity. He pleaded guilty to that one. 20 years to serve 5 years, the balance of 15 years of probation. No fine, commute to time served. 58, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. That was going to be a tough one to beat. Guilty, 20 years, serve 5, balance of 15 years probation. Commute to time served. All right. And then 59, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act. Going to be another tough one to beat. Guilty, 5 years to serve. Commute. Violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act. Guilty, 5 years to serve. Commute to time served. Possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempted to commit certain felonies, which were listed here. Guilty, 5 years to serve, backloaded. Consecutive on this one to count 56, backloaded, which was the $15,000 fine, 5 years to serve. That's also backloaded. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the details since we made it through that. Oh, we got one more. I forgot. 62. Use of a machine gun, sawed-off rifle, sawed-off shotgun, or silencer during the commission of a crime. Guilty, 10 years to serve, backloaded, consecutive. There as well to count 61, backloaded. The defendant is The defendant is guilty or sentenced under the first offender or conditional discharge. For the above stated offenses, the court sentences the defendant to confinement in such institution as the commissioner of the State Department of Corrections may direct, with the period of confinement to be computed as provided by the law. And here's the summary to make it easy for everybody, and for me mostly. The defendant is sentenced for a total of 40 years. Lord. With the first 5 years in prison. All right, we're going to get to it. I know Miss Pineapple is asking about the backloaded. All right, here we go. So the defendant is sentenced for a total of 40 years, with the first 5 years in prison commuted to time served, followed by 15 years of probation, followed by 20 years backloaded years in prison. Upon the successful completion of the full 15 years of probation, the backloaded portion of the sentence will be commuted to time served. All right, so it just goes away. All right. And then we've got the defendant is to receive credit for time served in custody from X, and they're going to determine that at a later date. Upon service of the 5 years in prison, commuted to time served, followed by 15 years on probation, followed by 20 backloaded years in prison. And upon successful completion of the full 15 years of probation, the backloaded portion of the sentence will be commuted to time served, provided the defendant shall comply with the conditions of probation imposed by the court as a part of this sentence. So you got to keep your nose clean. All right, Doug, don't mess this up. Relax. We read these the other day. I'm still hurt by these general conditions of probation. I got to read them again. And we'll get to the special conditions specifically that apply to Young Thug. But these are wild. So I'll read through them quick since we already went through them in another video. But it still shocks me to this day. The defendant is subject to arrest for any violation of probation. If probation is revoked, the court may order incarceration. The defendant shall comply with the following general conditions of probation. 1, do not violate the criminal laws of any governmental unit, and be of general good behavior. Easy enough, right? 2, avoid injurious and vicious habits. 3, avoid persons or places of disreputable or harmful character. That could be a tough one. Number 4, report to the community supervision officer as directed, and permit the community supervision officer to visit you at home or elsewhere. Number 5, work faithfully at a sustainable employment insofar as may be possible. That's going to be pretty easy. He can work for himself. Number 6, do not change your place of abode. Move outside the jurisdiction of the court or leave Georgia without permission of the community supervision officer. If permitted to move or travel to another state, you agree to waive extradition from any jurisdiction where you may be found, and not contest any effort by any jurisdiction to return you to this state. Number 7, support your legal dependents to the best of your ability. Number 8, when directed, in the discretion of the community supervision officer, you have to A, submit to evaluations and testing relating to rehabilitation and participate in and successfully complete rehabilitative programming. B, wear a device capable of tracking location by means including electronic surveillance or global positioning satellite systems. C, complete a residential or non-residential program for substance abuse or mental health treatment, and or D, agree to the imposition of graduated sanctions as defined by law. Number 9, simple enough, make restitution as ordered by the court. And we'll get into that shortly. Fine, surcharges, or add-ons. The court assesses all fine, surcharges, or add-ons as required by the law, the state of Georgia, and as applicable to offense or offenses for which the defendant has been convicted. The court orders that X, the defendant, shall pay the probation supervision fee as required by law. All right, here we go. This is the interesting part, the special conditions of probation. The defendant is advised that violation of any special condition of probation may subject the defendant to a revocation of probation, and the court may require the defendant to serve up to the balance of the sentence in confinement. Oh, Lord. Yeah, we don't want that. The defendant shall comply with all special conditions of probation as designated to the attached inventory of special conditions of probation as follows. The defendant shall remain in reporting status for the first half, so 7.5 years of his probation pursuant to OCGA 1710-1, requires notice and HRG and good cause shown. Y'all have to let me know what an HRG is. I don't know what that is. Special conditions of probation, or SCP. After 48 hours, defendant shall stay away from the metro Atlanta area as defined by the U.S. Census Bureau for the first 10 years of his probation. Oh. So they banned that man from Atlanta for 10 years. Lord. Subject to the following exceptions. Okay, so it might not be that bad. The defendant is permitted to enter the metro Atlanta area to attend a wedding, a funeral, or a graduation from high school, college, or graduate school, or medical emergency of immediate family members only. Immediate family members, for the purposes of this plea, is defined as biological grandparents, biological parents, biological siblings, biological children, biological aunts and uncles, and biological first cousins. Defendant may enter the metro Atlanta area up to 24 hours prior to any event listed above and must leave the metro Atlanta area within 48 hours after such event. Well, I guess me and Thug can't have lunch anymore. That's a shame. I got to do all that driving. All right. During each year of his probation, defendant shall enter the metro Atlanta area and shall make a live anti-gang and anti-gun violence presentation 4 times a year at a grade school, middle school, boys and girls club, or similar group. The presentation may include a benefit concert. Oh, man. Yo, boys and girls club memberships are about to go through the roof, y'all. If he does a benefit concert, that's going to be crazy. I mean, that would probably be the simplest thing to do for the presentation. I mean, he's going to, yeah, that's wild. The presentations may count towards his required community service hours, which is dope. And I think that's going to be a good thing too. Kids are going to love that. During each year of his probation, defendant shall perform 100 hours of community service, light work. Defendant shall not knowingly have contact of any kind or character with any other member or associate of a criminal street gang who are not a member of the defendant's immediate family, including but not limited to each of the named individuals charged in the indictment for the RICO, with the exception of defendant's biological brother, Quantavious Greer, and Sergio Kitchens. Oh, look at him. For as long as defendant and Mr. Kitchens are contractually obligated, except as necessary for the lawful business of his musical career. So y'all know Sergio Kitchens, that's Gunna, Young Thug, and Brian Steele made sure to mention yesterday that he wanted to be able to be in contact with and work with Gunna, which is super dope. I'm looking forward to that because, man, y'all know the music is going to be crazy. And if you don't know, you're going to find out. All right, here we go. So contractually obligated, except any as necessary for the laws of business of his musical career. In the event any provision of the special condition is determined to be void or unenforceable, such determination shall not affect the sentence or the remainder of the special conditions, which shall continue to be enforced to the fullest extent permitted by law. And see Parrott versus State. Okay, yeah, we're good on that. We're just glad he's out. Defendant shall in no way promote any criminal street gang, including on any social media platform. Now, this is where YSL comes in, because is YSL a gang? We've been asking this question, it seems like, for forever. Is YSL a criminal street gang? I think Judge Whitaker referred to YSL as a street gang a couple of times before. Is he going to be able to keep the record label name YSL? Is he going to be able to talk about slime, use slat, blat? What's going to happen with this? This is probably the most confusing part of these special conditions. And I think this is something I'd love to hear clarified from Brian Steele, because this is going to change everything for Thug if YSL is considered a criminal street gang. My question would be, by several of the defendants pleading guilty to the RICO Act, does that mean that YSL is considered a street gang? Does the state have to prove that? Is it going to be up to his community supervision officer? I don't know. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this goes. And he says he can't promote it on any social media platform. So this is a big question mark to me. And it'll be interesting to see what Young Thug does when he first drops music. It says also, the defendant shall not utilize any hand sign, terminology, or language that promotes or represents any criminal street gang activity, directly or indirectly. So no more wiping the nose. Defendant shall not participate in any criminal street gang activity. Defendant shall not knowingly engage in any form of contact with the victims listed in the Fulton County indictment or with any member of their family or household except through legal counsel. Defendant shall have neither in his possession nor within arm's reach of his person a firearm of any sort during the time that the defendant remains under the sentence. And it shall be solely defendant's responsibility to ensure that no persons in his immediate presence is knowingly in possession of a firearm of any sort. So anytime you get in the car, you better make sure there's no firearms there. I mean, even if you're getting to an Uber with someone who's legally carrying a firearm, no good. It's just crazy. With the sole exception of being licensed law enforcement officers and licensed security personnel that comprise the defendant's personal security detail, or that comprise the personal security detail of a musical artist with whom the defendant is performing. Defendant shall violate no laws of any governmental unit of the state of Georgia and other state territory or the United States. Defendant may transfer probation out of state. Defendant may retain his passport and may travel freely out of the state and outside of the U.S. for defendant's lawful business of his musical career. Look at Judge Whitaker. That's a win. That's a win right there. Defendant shall submit to random drug screenings and shall abstain from the use of any drug not prescribed by a licensed physician. Defendant shall execute a Fourth Amendment waiver to permit the search of his person, residence, vehicles, and electronics for firearms, criminal street gang paraphernalia, or illicit drugs. Oh man, so no Fourth Amendment right. That's crazy. All right, and then we have this here, first offender or conditional discharge if designated by the court. The defendant consenting hereto, it is the judgment of the court that no judgment of guilty be imposed at this time, but the further proceedings are deferred, and the defendant is hereby sentenced to confinement at such institution as the commissioner of the State Department of Corrections or the court may direct, with the period of confinement to be computed as provided by law. Upon violation of the terms of probation, upon conviction for any crime during the period of probation, or upon the court's determination that the defendant is or was not eligible for sentencing under the First Offender Act or for conditional discharge, the court may enter an adjudication, gets me every time, of guilt and proceed to sentence the defendant to the maximum sentence as provided by law. You got to be real careful. Upon fulfillment of the terms of the sentence or upon release of the defendant by the court prior to the termination of his sentence, the defendant shall stand discharged of said offenses without court adjudication of guilt and shall be completely exonerated of guilt of said offense charged. The Honorable Brian Steele, attorney at law, represented by employment. And shout out to the court reporter, Miss Taylor, in there. Signed by the Honorable Paige Reese Whitaker. Wow. What do y'all think about that? I know y'all have a lot to say about this, especially these special conditions. This one right here, 4, 5, and 6. This is going to be tough. I don't know what's going on with number 4. And I didn't hear that. I heard it mentioned when he was taking his plea yesterday, but understanding what a criminal street gang is, and specifically YSL, how are we viewing that? I mean, does he kind of have, are we in just this massive gray area right now? Because even though Thug's out, the trial is going on, and I don't think there's been a ruling on if YSL is a criminal street gang or not. So is it while the trial's going on and until it's finished and they have a verdict or a mistrial, which is most likely, that Young Thug, he can just go on promoting YSL and it's not a violation of his probation? Or should he just stay away from it and not even bring up YSL, mention YSL, promote YSL? I don't like the way this is written. So I don't know. Y'all will have to let me know what you think's in the comment and in the chat. Is this more of a trap? Is it black and white? Is YSL not a criminal street gang? They are a criminal street gang. It's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Let me see what Sean P is saying. He said, Javi, he can move to LA and get a PO that won't violate him on weed because of its use in the state. Interesting. But wouldn't his probation still apply because the laws in Georgia? Boy, that's crazy. Amy said, I expect an album by 12:30 today, label love. Yeah, I can see that. We have some super chats in here too I need to read. Thank you to everybody who not only liked the video, but sent in super chats as well. Mixed Chick is in here and she is a gold member now. Shout out to Mixed Chick. Thank you for becoming a member. Also, Elizabeth Wright is in the building. Says, how about Thug saying he wants to see Paige at a bar? Hey. Yeah, Thug got to chill on that. Just Whitaker was probably over there flipping her hair and blushing. We'll have to go back and watch it and see. Thank you for the 5 bomb, Elizabeth Wright. I appreciate you. Wright Street said, got to be able to pass the urinalysis. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Mr. Vegas in here actually absolutely cannot stand Young Thug, and he thinks this is a terrible deal. Says Thug was fake anyways, so it won't be hard for him to switch up though. I guess that's a good thing. Oh, he's gonna be just fine. He's gonna be making more money than he's made probably in his entire career. It's definitely a trap. Thug can't be anything he used to be. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Howdy Girl says that was unnecessary to give him 40 years total. Whitaker is just as bad as the state. Dang. I think she could have gone a little bit easy on him, because I agree, this 40 years and it's basically you got to behave yourself for 15, and if you don't, then it's not going to be good. It's interesting. Sharice Washington said he can get a weed prescription that will clear him. Yeah, it seems like a loophole, but so he would have to go to a. How would he get prescribed that though? Man. Sean P says Thug can be and will be Thug. A sober Thug though. Yeah, he's gonna be rapping about Jesus. I ain't mad at it. Shout out to Carrie in here, says he can smoke on probation as long as the weed doctor prescribes it. A doctor can prescribe it. Get a script for medical cannabis. Anxiety. Okay. Can he get that? I guess he's going to be outside of Atlanta. Will he be able to get that though? Amy says I said he should say YSL means you suck, love. That's probably the best one. That would be amazing. And April Love says, no, that's still a condition of his probation. He can't go to a legal state just to smoke. Yeah, it seems like there's so much gray area in here. That's why I hate probation. This has really got me messed up, though. Does anybody have an answer for this? Somebody tell me in the chat, like, what's up with this promote any criminal street gang? Javi said, I hate probation. Probation is a mess, man. I mean, if I'm Young Thug, this has me not wanting to mention YSL, DSL, AOL. Like, I'm not promoting anybody except Young Thug and Gunna. Like, I'm gonna stay out of it. Javi, you gotta let me know what's the deal with this? Because this seems obviously it's going to be up to his community supervision officer, but 4, 5, and 6 scare the heck out of me. And I'm trying to see if y'all have an answer for this. Mr. Vegas said they don't have an answer for anything. They just wanted Thug to go home. Well, they won then. Thug is home, Mr. Vegas. He is home. They won. Let him take the victory lap. Javier LaFleur says, I really hate Georgia's probation. Y'all don't have a cap on probation terms. In Tennessee, it's 10 years max. Yeah, they're going to be on his neck those last 5 years too. I would love to see what they call it, the general conditions of probation are in Tennessee. I'll be interested to see. Y'all got to help me out with this with 4, 5, and 6 though. Somebody speak on this because it's not looking good for YSL. If I'm just looking at this as a regular semi common sense functioning person. Sean said, no, he can go to a legal state and get prescribed and continue to smoke. He's been traumatized and stressed and etc. Look at Sean P giving them the game. Elizabeth Wright says, do you think he's going to appeal? He asked the judge about appeals during the plea. I just don't think he understood what it was. I do not think he's going to appeal. But I also didn't think he was going to take a plea. So Elizabeth, at this point, when it comes to what Thug is going to do, I'm the worst person to ask. Because I was wrong. I did not think Young Thug would take this plea. 15 years probation and a felony. It hurts. It hurts me. But out of everything he could have gotten, again, this is favorable. I'm with Brian Steele and Big Thug on this one. Like, he shouldn't have taken this. I think most of us could see a not guilty verdict coming from a mile away. And think about, this isn't a conversation that hasn't been had yet either. Think about how that would have affected Yak Gotti and Shannon if Young Thug would have stayed. Maybe the jury would have looked even more favorable towards them, where now the jury's probably like, we're focusing more on the murder now. So Rico's kind of, I mean, Judge Whitaker killed Rico yesterday. In case y'all didn't notice, like, Rico's gone. He's dead. Now we're focusing on the murder part. That's going to be a whole different animal. So I don't know, man. 15 years probation, Amy says. That's a long time to be super aware and also dodge outside forces looking to take you down. Dirty cop, eager DA, some friend, disgruntled employee. Seems extremely risky. That's putting it lightly, Amy. Like I said, what if he gets in an Uber with someone who is legally carrying a firearm? I don't like to play the what if game, but there's so many scenarios where he could get in trouble for something dumb. I hate it. Putting people on probation for 20, 30, 40 years is crazy. A straight setup for failure. I agree. What's KY says banned in ATL? What's banned in ATL? Mr. Vegas said, you just thought like we all thought. Yeah, I taking a felony and this much probation. The more I think about it, the more it hurts. Javier LaFleur says, when is the DA's election? I gotta look that up. I was so focused on voting. I don't know when the election is. Yeah, it's still going to be on the 5th. It's all on the 5th. Shout out to Christy. Okay, shout out to Christy for the 5. We're going to call it a 5 bomb. What does Christy say? He can get a medical card if he goes to the doctor and they prescribe it for him. Yeah, but Thug is banned. Thug is banned from Metro Atlanta. Correct. Yes. Elizabeth Wright said once he transfers to probation, he will be under the rules and interpretations of the state he transferred to. Okay, thank you for that, Elizabeth Wright. Very interesting. I wonder if he would be willing to pick up and move. Seems like it would be worth it. Javier LaFleur says, if it's coming up soon, then that's why this case is coming to an end. It's not going to end in the next 5 days, though, because Doug Weinstein and Max Shard said, nah, we're not moving. Mr. Vegas says, can anyone tell me what Metro Atlanta is? ClassE Beats. If you take Metro Atlanta is basically if you take a pen and you put it in like Atlanta, like downtown Atlanta, and then you draw a circle like 20 minutes wide. I mean, that's Metro Atlanta. I could probably give you a better definition and see what cities are in Metro Atlanta, but it's probably not going to make sense. Let me see. I'm going to tell you exactly. Let me see. So the counties in Metro Atlanta are Cobb, DeKalb, Douglas, Fayette, Forsyth, Fulton, Gwinnett, Henry, Rockdale, Cherokee. Yeah, so about a 20, 30-minute radius. I don't know how many miles that is, but yeah, those are the counties. It's about Alpharetta's in there. What else are y'all saying? Shout out to Howdy Girl says, remember, this was a non-negotiated plea. He didn't know his fate until he stood in front of Judge Whitaker. I wonder if he could appeal the decision. Yeah. Javier LaFleur said, y'all got too many counties. Tell me about it, man. Amy says, Metro Atlanta is made up of 11 counties in Georgia, and she just listed them just like I read. And then Michi says, Thug can do this. Will it be easy? No. However, he has the resources to stay out of trouble that us common folk don't have. He's not the first celeb on probation. I think he'll be fine. Yeah, Marietta, Alpharetta, that's as close as he can get. And then Decatur in there. But I mean, who would want to go to Decatur? Elizabeth Wright also says he just has to transfer his official residence, change driver's license, and where he files taxes. Doesn't mean he can't still own a home in Georgia outside of Metro Atlanta. All that for weed? I mean, I guess if you need it that bad, go ahead. I'd rather just be clean and stay in Atlanta. Good Lord. Good morning to everybody just joining us. Let's see. Amy says the core of the metro area is made up of 5 counties: Fulton, DeKalb, Cobb, Gwinnett, and Clayton. These counties are home to more than 60% of metro area's population. Yeah, it's 11 counties. Yeah, no, it's just 11. And it's about 8,300 square miles. Okay, now we're getting too much into the details. Yeah, if you need weed that bad just to move, and like, God dang, I get it. He's an artist, and that's sometimes how they live, but good Lord. Mr. Vegas says he ain't appealing being out on the streets. Walter Waller says judge even told Thug it would be up to him to keep up on the boundaries as they are subject to change. Risky as well. What else are y'all saying? Shout out to Full of Life says Thug took a chance and he is pleased with the outcome. His mind is clear and he has to be there for his children. I can't wait to hear his first song he's going to drop. It's going to be crazy. Weed is decriminalized in Atlanta. In Fulton County specifically. And actually, no, I don't think that's even right. It's not Fulton County. It's just the city of Atlanta, I believe. The city of Atlanta, weed is decriminalized. Which it's a big difference. Yeah, Javi said, oh good. Hey, Javi, don't say anything else. All right, relax. Relax. All right, y'all. This has been a great show. I think we're gonna wrap it up for this week. We've got more content coming from you. As you know, court is going to resume Monday morning at supposedly 8:30. Y'all know we will be here at 9:30 a.m. Monday morning with the replay gang. If y'all subscribe and hit the notification bell, I'm gonna be dropping more videos and clips this evening/afternoon and also over the weekend. So y'all don't want to miss out on that. If you love independent artists and hearing music from some of the dope artists in the community, like the Honorable Javier M. Bailey, aka Javier LaFleur, make sure you tune into the Song of the Night live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a good time. We're going to give away some cash. And even if you're not an artist, you still have an opportunity to win $100 just for showing up to the show. So, and we have a good time too. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for following along through this trial. We still have a long way to go. A long way to go. We are not done. So y'all make sure you stick around and I will see y'all on the next live stream. All right. Thank you so much. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, a great weekend. And you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace.